The fundamental truth is that you were born a champion. You were born from championship genes. Why? One sperm had to win and hit that egg in order for you to actually even be conceived. So you were born from championship genes. I don't just say that to say, oh, you're a champion. Everyone's like, no, you were literally a champion. You were born from championship genes. The world is the one that has told you and taught you that you're average and just good enough. And so if we can hold on to the fundamental truth that you were born from two cells that multiplied and exponentially grew to where today, each one of us has about 30 to 40 trillion cells inside of our body, synergistically working together to function and maintain life. That's the truth. That's how we've been built. Cellular health is the key to maintaining energy, to maintaining longevity, to maintaining vitality, to maintaining all of these mental, physical acuity points that we actually desire. And so cellular health is where we need to look. The reality of our cells is that 300 to 400 million of them completely turn over every 84 to 90 days, depending on who you are. And so what's that reality? That every 5 years, we become a brand new, completely renewed cellular human being. And so if that's the way that we were developed, if that's the way we were built, that every 90 days we're seeing cellular regeneration, if there's 300 trillion cells synergistically working together to make our body function, then cells are probably pretty important. And there's 4 key things that cells need in order to function and stay operating at its elite level. They need oxygen, they need the ability to remove toxins, and they need nutrients. And so if we look at these 3 core components, if they don't get these, ultimately the 4th thing it needs to do is be able to resist stress. And so each one of these 4 things now ultimately also has a language. Let's start with stress. The language that our body communicates through stress is heart rate variability. It's how our heart is beating, different time intervals between successive beats. The higher our HRV number, you can find that on a Whoop band, you can find that on an Oura ring, you can find that on an Apple Watch. You go to your app, Apple Health, go to the bottom right corner, go to browse, click on heart rate variability, you'll find your number. A higher number is better, a lower number is alert. So if you're 45...
Wait, just one second. Could you go back to what you said before? Heart rate variability is the level of the stress that your body's under? Say that again, that sentence.
Heart rate variability is the language in which our body's communicating how well it's adapting to stress.
Distress. That's so good. Okay. Right. So you can find it on all of these different devices. Ultrahuman, Oura, Whoop, Apple. Do you get into the minutia of what's better, what's worse, what people should wear?
I do. So I'm a big Whoop and Oura guy. I just think their platforms are the easiest to understand. I think they're the easiest to work. I think their data is the most accurate. Ultrahuman's coming up behind it. I just think how they display their information is way too much. It's overcomplicated. But again, I don't look at any of the fancy algorithms. I don't care about regeneration scores or recovery scores or sleep scores. I want to know, what is your heart rate variability? Because if I know your HRV, that's the raw data that we can use to actually understand our body better. And so you come back to like this component of what Satan would do is he would confuse you. So the tech companies, in owning all of these different algorithms and these different unique value props that they're trying to take ownership of so they can drive value for their companies, they really don't have you in mind. They have this unique value prop in mind that they're trying to create so that keeps people in confusion unless they need the product still. And so if you were actually just to be able to understand HRV, you could understand how your habits, behaviors, and lifestyle were either working for you or against you based upon the rhythm of habits that you've created. And so mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, real or perceived, positive, negative, past, present, or future stresses, the body doesn't know the difference. And so we have to become very intentional as to what we're doing and what we're giving the body to ultimately make sure that we can see the improvement. And so let's say a 45-year-old, for an example. If you're a 45-year-old individual and you don't have an HRV that is 50 to 70, and that's your average, 50 to 70. If you don't have an HRV that's 50 to 70 and it's below that, that's an alert. It's like, hey, the rhythm of your life, the rhythm of what you're doing, the habits, behaviors, your body's under more stress than is necessary, and you're actually aging at an accelerated rate at the cellular level. So that's what heart rate variability is. So that looks at number 4.
So let's pause there for a second, because I am super interested in HRV. It's something that I've been looking at for years. And I find that in people listening to this podcast, watching people in my circles, working at QVC with different hosts and celebrities and all of that, mainly women 40 and above, even in their 50s. HRV is extremely low. We're talking teens, 20s. We get to 40s and 50s and we're like, oh my goodness, it's so great. And I had heard in the past that it's not necessarily like you really can't judge against somebody else. But what I'm hearing you say is, yeah, there is actually a range where you should be.
100%. That's the biggest lie out there is you hear from people all the time, oh, I just have a genetically low HRV. No, you don't. Like if I actually went into your data and I actually went through all of your data, Kerstin, and I started to look and I started to bounce into some past dates and some things. And I said, okay, Kerstin, what happened on January 18th? Let's just say January 18th was the highest day that you had, and it was 61. And you went back to that and you were like, oh my gosh, well, I got a great workout in that morning. I spent the whole day with my family. But you know what? We had a barbecue at the house. We cooked really clean. It was amazing. You know what? My husband had a celebratory moment that we all were able to have together. I went to bed early that night. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense, right? And so then we start to dive into some of the things that we'll get into numbers 1, 2, and 3, because numbers 1, 2, and 3 will actually start to tell us why heart rate variability has such a drastic change and why it's such a great predictor of cellular health. Because what do we know? Cellular health needs oxygen, it needs the ability to repair, and it needs nutrients. And so when it doesn't have these three, it shows us that we have a low heart rate variability number. And that low number is an alert and it's an awareness metric. I've yet to see anyone who has a low HRV score that is fit, that sleeps well, and that eats well while also supplementing based on what their body needs. I've yet to see somebody with a low HRV score that does all of those things. And it comes back to the core components of oxygen, nutrients, and the ability to remove and repair toxins.
Okay. Well, oh, it's so fascinating and frustrating at the same time. Should this be a therapy session for me, but it's going to be because it's my podcast for a second. When we were missionaries in 2023, we went down to Mexico to serve for 3.5 months. Me and my family, we're a family of 5. I've got 3 kids. My heart rate variability was the highest it ever was. Like I was living in the 50s. I was 45, I think. And so I felt like that was really, really good for me because I hadn't seen anything higher than that before. So I was feeling really, really great about living in the 50s. Occasionally I get a 60. I was like, this is great.
And
I came
let
home.
me just pause you for a second, because what did I say before? I didn't know any of your numbers. Did we talk about your numbers before?
Right. No, we didn't. Never.
I said if you're 45 years old, we should see numbers probably in that average between 50 and 70. And what
Right.
did you just say? Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, the 50s.
well, I was 45 years old and I was seeing numbers in the 50s. I even saw a couple in the 60s.
Right. So I was
Case rested.
Yeah, we literally did not talk before this about any of this. So, okay, I come home. I'm back in corporate America. God's putting a little pressure on me that, oh, hey, that stuff that you were doing, we're going to need you to do that full time. And I'm saying, no, because I have to support a family. And I'm really good at being a host on QVC. And I've got the #1 show. And anyway, that was a big conversation. But I was also in corporate America, also very, very tired. So my numbers drop, right? And then I'm in the 20s and the 30s. And then I'm kind of living in the 30s. And if I get to a 40, I'm super, super excited. But at the same time, Justin, and I'm getting better because I left my corporate job about a month and a change ago. I'm so fired up on life. I'm probably a little overwhelmed. Remember you saying you listen to the Lord and he's like, do this. And I was like, okay, we're going to do everything right now. And God's saying, no, let's slow down a little bit and let me do some work. So I know that there's some balance that needs to happen. But at the same time, I am that person who I sleep great because I guard my sleep. That's what I keynote speak on is sleep. I eat so well and so clean. I exercise every single day. So I have a hard time figuring out what it is that's impacting my HRV. And I bet you could tell me.